Good evening, everyone. I would like to call to order the City of Bowie regular City Council meeting of Monday, July 11th, 2022, and it is now 8:01 p.m. Would everyone please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. For the record, Madam Clerk, for the record, could you state that we have a quorum?
Yes, Mayor Adams. In council chambers, you have yourself, Councilmember Gardner, Councilmember Harrison, and Councilmember Esteve. Joining virtually, you have Councilmember Wolfley and Councilmember Endemamato.
Hey, thank you so much. At this time, are there any agenda additions, deletions, or amendments? Hearing none, we will go to the citizen participation. Do we have any citizen participation this evening?
No, Mayor Adams. No one has signed up to speak this evening.
Okay, thank you. We will now go to presentations. As we are aware, at the last council meeting, the Bowie Racetrack Property Task Force was created by Council Resolution R 2022 on May 16, 2022, and consists of an executive steering committee and 3 subcommittees: the Bowie Community Engagement Subcommittee, the City Committee's subcommittees, and the Bowie State University Subcommittee. Council concurred to appoint the following individuals to the task force, and I would ask that you move to appoint them. They were Executive Steering Committee, Tanya Hedgepeth, Bowie Community Engagement Subcommittee, Charles McIntosh, Rick Cormier, and Sharita Clark, and the City Committee's Subcommittee, Elmer Dingler, Karen Taschenberger, Linda Bailey, Carl Stemmer, Michelle Bothy, and Miguel Laguna. All individuals will be appointed to the Bowie State University Subcommittee, and several individuals who will be on the Executive Steering Committee will be appointed and sworn in.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to move to,
I was going to open for a motion.
Yes, sir. I'd like to move to appoint the so-named members to the Bowie Racetrack Property Task Force.
Second.
Second.
It's been moved and properly second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please respond with an aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same favor. Hearing none, motion carries. We will now move on to council announcements.
Excuse me, Mayor Adams. If
yes.
you wouldn't mind, if you could have them sworn in, read the swearing in. Thank you.
Okay. The Americans with Disabilities Act. Is someone here to speak on that?
No, I apologize, Mayor Adams. If you could have the members of the task force be sworn in, read the swearing in, and have them repeat after you.
What she said. Okay. Thank you. If there are members of the task force, could you please step and come forward so we can swear you in this evening? And I think that's pretty much the house right now.
Yeah. Wow, that's good. No. For even giving your time, this is incredible.
This is. Thank you.
How about that, Carl? How are you doing?
Please, if we could come, if everyone would raise your right hand. I, and state your name, do swear or affirm that I will support the Constitution of the United States and that I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to the state of Maryland and support the Constitution and laws thereof, and that I will, to the best of my skill and judgment, diligently and faithfully, without partiality or prejudice, execute the office of regular, and state what committee you'll be on.
Execute the office of the task force on the racetrack road property.
Thank you. According to the Constitution and the laws of this state. Congratulations, everyone. Thank you.
We don't have anything to hand out now.
We have some certificates.
Yes.
Tanya Hedgepeth.
Tanya, there you go. Thank you so very much, Tanya.
Hey, thank you so very, very much. To do this. Here you go.
Thank you, Tanya. Looking forward to working.
Thank you.
Looking forward to working with you, Tanya. Thank you.
Charles McIntosh.
Thank you, Charles. Thank you, Mr. McIntosh.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for being willing to serve.
Thank you, yes, indeed.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Here you go.
Thank you. Thank you for being involved in your case. Yes.
Congratulations.
Thank you for being on. We really appreciate it.
Thank you again so much. Rick Cormier.
Oh, Rick.
Thank you so much, Rick, for being willing to serve, as always.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You can shake the hands and you can take it. Here you go. Thank you, Rick.
Talk to you right in YouTube.
Sharita Clark.
Hello, Ms. Clark.
Ms. Clark, thank you so very, very much for being willing to serve. Thank you.
Thank you so very much, Ms. Clark.
Congratulations.
Thank you for being on.
Congratulations. Here you go. Elmer Dangler.
I didn't see him.
Thank you so very much, and thank you for your patience.
Thank you.
Hey, thank you so very, very much. Thank you.
Thank you so much for allowing me to be part of it.
No, thank you for participating. It's a great honor to have you. a
Here
part
you
of it.
go. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for being the voice for the environment. Really appreciate it.
Corinne Taschenberger. Thank you again so much for serving our community.
Good to see you. You're gone. I don't see you.
Congratulations. I really appreciate you taking time to do this. Thank you.
Thank you again.
Karen, how's Blue? He's one. Okay, okay.
Linda Bailey. Thank you, Linda, for serving our community.
Thank
We
you so
appreciate
very
you.
much.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you so very much.
Congrats. This is a good group. I'm glad you're on.
Thank you.
Thank you, thank you, thank you, Ms. Bell.
Carl Stemmer. Oh, he's got some pep in his step.
Oh, yes. Carl, always.
Thank you so very much, always, in supporting the city.
Okay, there you go. You did the right thing.
Appreciate you, Carl.
Look, Carl, we've already sworn you in. It's a little late now. Yeah. Thank you, my friend. Good to see you. Good to see you.
That was good.
Appreciate you. This is a good group, and I'm really glad you're on it.
Yes.
Thank you. Michelle Balfour. Thank you so very much for, thank you so much.
Thank you, Michelle, for participating.
Here you go. Thank you.
Thank you.
Michael LaGuille.
Thank you, Michael.
It's good seeing you, Michael. Thank you. Thank you so very, very much.
Congrats, Mike. I really appreciate doing this. Thank you.
Here you go. Thank you. Oh, Okay, and that's all of the certificates this evening.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you all.
Thank you all. Let's give a big round of applause. And please, if you are not inclined to, please don't feel obligated to stay. You're welcome to go and watch us virtually.
Indeed.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
Okay. I will now move to council announcements. First and foremost, I'd like to thank everyone for being here and those virtually for joining us. It's the dog days of summer, but I just want to say thank you and appreciate everyone for being here. Having said that, I'd like to ask my council members if they have any announcements they'd like to make at this time.
Just very briefly,
Councilmember
Mr. Mayor.
Steve, go right ahead.
Thank you so much. I just want to say I really appreciate staff and my colleagues, including a recognition for the 32nd anniversary of the Americans with Disabilities Act. I hope this is not too personal, but when you were first elected, Mr. Mayor, we learned the hard way how much of the city was not up to ADA compliance in so many places. And that was a shame on our part for not having been prepared for that. But I think we've learned a lot as a city, and we're still working to make a lot of improvements so that everyone can feel fully included in our community, and I'm very glad that we're recognizing this today.
Hey, thank you. And I would just like to say thank you to the city staff and to the council and everyone, because I was afforded the opportunity to go around to all of our facilities and all of that, even here, and address where we needed to do better from accommodations from the standpoint of Americans with disabilities. And I really think that the city has made tremendous progress. And thank you for that.
Thank you. Thank you for
Any other comments?
making it happen, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Hearing none?
Mr. Mayor?
Wait.
Mr. Mayor?
Oh, please, go ahead, Dufour.
Thank you. I want to take the moment to extend my thanks to the city staffs, particularly the police force. Over this last week, we had a gentleman in our community who was lost in off the side of a trail. He had difficulty with his with his wheelchair and his motorized scooter, and there was a tremendous response on the part of the community and also on the part of the police department and the rest of the staff here with emergency services all across the board. So I just want to say thank you. He was found safe and sound, a little bit worse for wear, but nothing of any consequence. So thank you all for your good efforts in that, and we do greatly appreciate it.
All right. Thank you. Any other announcements at this time? Hearing none, we will now move on to the city manager's report.
Thank you, Mayor. Daniel Mears, sitting in for City Manager Lott. At this time, I'd like to have a reminder for all of our citizens. We've had a couple of incidents recently where the city has gotten information out to folks, whether it be weather-related or other issues in the city. And there's a great opportunity to connect with us through Alert Bowie. You can get notifications from the city through your phone, email, and text messages. And if you haven't had the opportunity to sign up for Alert Bowie, go on to our website, do a quick search for Alert Bowie, and you can sign up for this information source and get information from the city on important and timely issues in the method of communication that's most beneficial for you. So I'd encourage everyone to sign up for that. That's all I have for the report this evening.
Thank you, city managers. At this time, I would like to move on to the consent agenda. I will entertain a motion at this time.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Second.
It's been moved and properly second. Discussion? Hearing none, call for the vote. All in favor, please respond with an aye.
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 Opposed, same favor. Hearing none, motion carries. We have no old business as I see. Is that correct, Madam City Clerk?
Yes, that's correct, Mayor.
We will now move on to the new business. And
Good evening, Mayor and members of the council. I'm Joe Minert, the City Planning Director, here to introduce this item to you under new business.
This is the follow-up to the Bowie and Vicinity Master Plan that was completed earlier this year. It's the zoning step that follows a master plan, and with us this evening as our guest is Mr. Thomas Lester, who is the primary planner for the master plan area for Bowie, and Mr. Lester is going to give you an overview about this zoning step, which is called the Sectional Map Amendment. So I'll turn it over to Mr. Lester at this point.
Thank you. Good evening.
Good evening, Mayor and Mayor Pro Tem and council members. Thank you for this opportunity to provide a briefing.
Talk right into the mic, lift it up.
Sorry, am I not close enough?
No, just lift it up for you. Just lift it up. There you go.
Yeah. Again, thank you for this opportunity to provide a briefing on the Bowie, Mitchellville, and Vicinity Sectional Map Amendment.
Okay.
As Joe Meinert said, my name is Thomas Lester. I'm the project manager for the Sectional Map Amendment. It's also the project manager for the Master Plan. And I work in the Community Planning Division for Maryland National Capital Park and Planning Commission. There is another staff member that's been assigned to this project. He cannot be here tonight, but his name is Redawan Kashik, and he's a graduate intern, and he'll be with us until next year. And another staff member that's not listed on the slide is the project's facilitator, and his name is Kier McCoon, and he's also the supervisor of the section. So tonight I'd like to go over the project overall. I'll then talk about the boundary, the goals, and the schedule, and then I'll take any questions that you may have about the project. So as Joe mentioned, this is a follow-up to the master plan. It's the comprehensive rezoning portion of the project, which pretty much means it takes a look at a defined geographic area, evaluates it, and determines what the best zone for each property in the area is. Because this is a follow-up project, it will mostly adhere to the comprehensive zoning chapter of the recently approved master plan. The current approved master plan, though approved in March, it has not been published. It's still in the publication process. I do anticipate a release date in July, later July, around July 20th. Once the published plan is available, it will be posted online and can be viewed and downloaded. The public is also able to purchase a copy at Planning Information Services, which is located at the County Administration Building in Upper Marlboro. I've already arranged with Joe Meinert for the city to get at least 15 copies of the plan once available. So taking a look at the project boundaries, it's the same boundary that was used for the master plan. It does include 4 planning areas in their entirety, including 71A, 71B, 74A, 74B, and that does include the city of Bowie in its entirety. Looking at the project goals, the main goal of the project, as I already mentioned, is that it's to implement the comprehensive zoning chapter that made recommendations for zoning in the master plan. The 2 other goals of the project is to position the area to be able to implement the future land use map that's also featured in the plan, and to also encourage future development that adheres to the master plan. Of course, rezoning property doesn't automatically change the land use. That will take time. So looking at the project schedule, we do move to go to District Council tomorrow to initiate the project. Once initiation happens, the public and the city of Bowie will have a 30-day time period to submit requests for zoning for specific properties. During that after that 30-day period, staff will release a proposed preliminary sectional map amendment to the public sometime in August, probably late August, and that will run into the joint public hearing in the fall. After the joint public hearing, the planning board is scheduled to have their work session on the proposed sectional map amendment, and hopefully that will lead to an endorsement in November of 2022. And then because the district council does not meet in December, that will push their work session and hopefully their decision of approval to January and February of 2023. Unless we require a joint public hearing, that will push the approval date all the way to September 2023. And this is the project link where all the information about the sectional map amendment will be available, and that includes the zoning request form that can be downloaded. It's currently not there just because we haven't initiated yet, so I anticipate after tomorrow that will be available. And there's also a QR code for convenience. And I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Hey, thank you very much for that presentation and catching us up to speed on where we are in the process now. Are there any questions at this time? Councilman Estep?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Where can we access this presentation right now?
It should be, I guess a version of it will be available on the district council website because it's very similar to the initiation. This exact presentation, I believe I provided a copy to Joe Minor. He can also provide a copy, or I can provide a copy.
Mr. Minor, do we mind just making this available either on the city website or email to us, one way or the other?
Yes, sir. I'm going to create a separate page on the website for this project, and we'll post that information there.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Good. Any other questions at this time? My apologies.
Oh, no worries.
All right. Anything else?
Nope.
Well, I'd like to thank you. I know you said we would be getting about 15 copies to Joe Minor, and so we'll have a chance to actually all take a look at what's going on. We know this has been a significant task, and we want to thank you for your work and the work of all involved in this. And to see it finally come into fruition is really good. And so thank you again this evening. If there are no other questions, you have the question? Go ahead, Councilman.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you very much. Pardon me, my question is, how often is this amended, this document amended, or the master plan for this particular?
So I think it's state law. We're required to evaluate our master plans every, I want to say 7 years. That doesn't necessarily mean that we update every master plan every 7 years. It could be every 10, 20. It just depends on how much has happened in terms of implementation and what has changed in the community that would warrant a new master plan.
And my question about why I asked about the time period, how often, for this particular, have you engaged much with the community that's really affected by this?
Yeah, so because this is a follow-up project to the master plan had, a 1.5 year public participation program that stemmed from 2020 into 2021, where we did hold, a series of community meetings, community chats, and other like kickoff events to
Were many of these virtual? I mean, being that we were in the pandemic, and this is because that's why I asked. Being that we were in the pandemic, I just wanted to assume that a number of our neighbors and residents were able to participate.
Yeah, so I guess when the project first started, some of the first meetings did happen in late 2019. Those were in person, and then when the pandemic hit, we did have to restructure public participation program. It did go to a 100% virtual program for the rest of the project. We did do exit surveys for a lot of our meetings, and we did, I guess, participation was very high. I don't know, maybe it had something to do with like boredom, like people didn't have anything else to do.
Okay.
But we definitely reached the community, and we reached a good diverse group, I think, based on the exit surveys.
Okay, so you did find that the participation volume was adequate to, for involvement?
I would say it was above average for a master plan. I think the in-person meetings from previous master plans were actually lower than having it virtual. I think moving forward, as an agency, we're going to do hybrid, where we do virtual events and in-person events to try to capture as many people.
Okay. Yeah. Wow. Well, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you again for coming out and involving and sharing this information with us. Thank you very much.
Are there any other questions from council members? Hearing none. Again, thank you so very much. Have a good evening.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We will now be moving on to item B, project financing and an informational presentation on financing options during the council.
Thank you, Mayor. This evening, we're joined by Mr. Michael Roach. The council had requested a presentation on project financing, so he is here to provide an overview of some financing services. So, Mr. Roach, would you approach?
Good evening, Mr. Roach, and thank you for being here this evening.
Good evening, Mayor.
Good.
Mayor Pro Tem.
And if
members.
you could, the mic, just lift it up, move it over and lift it up. There you go.
There we go.
However's comfortable for you.
Is that better?
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me this evening. I just wanted to present an overview, if you will. Try to make it as simple as possible, as I don't want to bore everyone to tears with the minutiae of financing. But a solution that possibly for the Bowie Ice Arena. And at the end of the presentation, of course, I take any questions or any comments you may have. So we'll start off. My company is CTL Finance. The CTL acronym is Credit Tenant Lease Finance. And so that's primarily what I do, what we do. And that is we structure a financing against a long-term lease, right? With a credit tenant. That credit tenant could be a corporation or a government entity. I've been doing a little bit of my background. I've been doing finance, whether corporate finance or structured real estate finance for 30 years. I ran the key bank execution desk for agency for 5 years, and for the Southeast, and then recently been doing the CTL loans for key bank as well as for private clients. So as I just said, we are a real estate investment advisory firm. Folks come to us, usually it's a developer or an investor buying a property, buying a Costco, a BJ's, something like that, and they come to us and we finance it. So the proposed solution is similar to, for the Bowie Ice Arena, similar to a build-to-suit. Now, build-to-suit is where a client, a tenant, comes to an acting developer such as CTL Finance and says, "Okay, look, we want this structure built. Here are the details of what we need in there, and we're willing to sign a long-term lease in terms of leasing it back from the developer, which then becomes the landlord." The structure isn't new. I'm not presenting anything new. It's been used by many. Starbucks, Amazon. In fact, we've done a number of Amazons. Costco, Walgreens. They're all done as built-to-suit. Amazon is almost exclusively built-to-suit leasing, right? So, and if anyone knows anything about Amazon and Costco, they are extremely efficient with capital. And so if they're using a BTS solution for themselves, you can imagine that it's a very elegant and efficient solution. So, again, proposing a structured lease finance, right, as an alternative, right, to have another arrow in your quiver of financing options to a direct bond financing. Right? So, in order to facilitate this, CTL Finance would act as a developer landlord and enter into a build-to-suit lease agreement with the city of Bowie and construct a new two-sheet ice arena. and then lease it back to the city for 30 years or 20 years. Now, I added that the 292 Design Group, which is a vendor, sorry about that, but of the city, but just to highlight that we have no intention of upsetting the apple cart. This is a financing solution, not a new development solution. So the group that you guys have already vetted and are comfortable with, we certainly can work with them. So what is a build-to-suit lease, right? So it's an absolute bondable lease. And the city would operate the structure and the operations just as it would if it owned the property. You pay all the utilities, you still pay whatever taxes, you operate it. The only thing is that you're paying rent, and that's it. Right? So this is the original cost estimate from 292. Sorry that you can't really see it, but you guys are familiar with the number, which was at the time round figures $20.4 million for one sheet. Now, I'm sure we're all aware that because of supply chain issues and inflation, things have gone up in price pretty significantly, remarkably. We're in the middle of a couple transactions now that have stalled, if you will, because we had to go back, the developer had to go back to the drawing board and readjust the costs, and then we have to do a readjustment of the financing for them. So here's a side-by-side cost estimate of the original, and this is the latest cost estimate for a two-sheet, with the numbers provided by kindly by Tom Betty. So a two-sheet would all in would roughly cost round numbers $33.7 million to finance. The all-in amount would be $34.7, and then at the bottom there you see what the lease payment would be, 2.2. Round figures, $2.3 million a year, flat. No increases. We wanted to make sure that this would resemble the same payment profile as a bond for the city, with the difference being that hopefully we would be saving you some costs somewhere in there with the bond attorney and placement fees. All right. So CTL Capital is a company that I work closely with. As you can see, their name is CTL. I had to get permission, in fact, to call my company CTL Finance. But we work hand in glove. This is something that they've done hundreds of times, billions of dollars worth of this sort of financing for various structures around the country. And here are some of the clients that they've worked with. Notably, you'd see the GSA, they recently just funded, I don't think I had it in time to put it in this slide, but we recently just funded the GSA headquarters. Here's an example of, this is the FBI building that was built in 2016 in Boston. They provided the financing for that. These are details of how the financing is provided. Most of this is I'm providing it as full disclosure, but it's more pertinent to me as a developer than it really is to you as the tenant. but I provide everything to provide full disclosure. So here are some transactions that are in the federal, the GSA and federal space. You'll know that they funded the patent office. They've done in aggregate, and I worked on, I want to say I placed at least 3 of those transactions under Veteran Affairs for a client out of New Hampshire, which is the largest VA CBOC, community-based outpatient clinic owner in the country, Net Lease Capital Advisors. The partners there, we've been close for over 20 years. Now, here are more pertinent examples of clients that they've funded. What's of note is the $252 million provided and funded for the city of Philadelphia. That was for the new fire and police headquarters that was built. Now, one of the things that I want to note is that a lot of these transactions were done where the developer, the lease was negotiated versus the actual total cost of the project. So there's oftentimes a difference in what the project cost and then what was actually funded, right? As opposed to what I'm disclosing here, which is basically dollar for dollar. I'm showing you exactly where everything is. Here is an example of working with different universities. I didn't participate in any of those, but some of these others I did. The retail. This was a $343 million. This is their headquarters that was done for Charter Communications. Again, as a build-to-suit, sale-leaseback. They had a very aggressive term. This is 17 years. Now, but that was done because Charter had there was some payment scheme that they wanted to take advantage of. That's why it's 17. But you say they were. Here's this is the Immigration Services building here in Maryland, Camp Woods, $245 million project, a 24-year term. And University of Connecticut. This is the project I referred to earlier, the new Police and Emergency Services headquarters, right? A 19-year term. Methodist Hospital, and then the background of the team that would be working on this. Now, the focus would be Mr. Paul Penny. He'd be closely working with me on this, as well as Bill Paler. And both of those gentlemen were on the call with me when we spoke to your capable staff at the city manager's office. And this time, if you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer them.
I'd just like to say thank you.
Okay.
For coming and presenting this evening. We do appreciate you taking the time and actually walking us through this at this time.
Okay. It's my pleasure.
I think city staff will be able to reach back out at some point and contact you and go from there. But again, thank you for coming out. We appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Have a good evening.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, no, yes.
Do you want to go?
Hold on 1 second. Could you? Okay, I'm sorry, City Council, we can proceed, we can ask questions at this time?
I just had a comment, Mr. Mayor.
Yes, comments.
No question.
Comments?
Because I thought we were doing questions, so it's just you
I
want
would
to make a
refrain from questioning as much as.
No, we'll do a comment if you'd like to make.
You may
Is it okay?
comment.
We may
Okay.
comment, okay.
Who's going first with a comment?
Okay.
Mayor?
Yeah.
Pro Tem?
Thank you so much, Mr. Mayor. I just want to thank you for the presentation. I know you've spoken to several of my colleagues here. Myself and Councilwoman Harrison have sat through the presentation a couple times. I just wanted to say a quick thank you for actually coming to the city of Bowie and coming to Chambers and presenting to us. So,
My
thanks.
pleasure.
Okay. And would you like to?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem and Councilmember Harrison for bringing this type of idea to our attention.
Correct.
Okay, and with that being said, I see some of the areas of where this has worked with other municipalities such as Philadelphia with the fire and police, and also on the federal level with GSA headquarters. And my main thing here is that I will not support borrowing any additional funds to build any facilities.
Why don't we stay
Okay.
on, you were just making a comment
Am I
to
okay?
them.
Okay.
Yeah, we were just
Okay.
making a comment to him. Thank you so much.
So I would want to say, Mr. Roach, thank you very much. Your presentation was extremely informative, and it is exactly what I'm looking.
Saved by the bell.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
Say thank you.
Thank you,
Thank
Mr.
you.
Roach, for coming out to Bowie
You're welcome.
and sharing
Thank you
this
so very much. Go
with
ahead.
the Bowie residents.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you again so very much. Okay.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you very much.
Okay.
All right. Well, Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to adjourn and move to closed session. To adjourn to closed session under the statutory authority of the Maryland Annotated Code, State Government Article subsection 3-305B1, to discuss the appointment, employment, assignment, promotion, discipline, demotion, compensation, removal, resignation, or performance evaluation of any appointees, employees, or officials over whom this public body has jurisdiction. Any other personnel matter that affects one or more specific individuals.
Mayor Pro Tem.
Sorry, I thought I sensed the end.
Oh, I know. He was getting ready. Before you completed your motion, can I gently interrupt? I wanted to ask the city attorney a question. No.
It's in the middle of his.
I know, it was, and I just wanted to make sure.
You can ask after the.
Well,
we go
actually,
ahead.
before we close it, because it was a part of this meeting.
What is it?
You could call for discussion.
It's been
Let him make the
okay.
motion.
Okay, I'll let you.
Call for discussion, and then you could go ahead.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Okay.
Please, continue.
Sorry.
any other personnel matter that affects one or more specific individuals.
Second.
It's been moved and properly second. Call for discussion.
Well, I wanted to ask, I'm sorry, everyone, we're a little kooky up here tonight, pardon us. I'd like to ask the city attorney, am I out of line if I were to ask staff to if I ask our colleagues, my colleagues, to support my motion in asking staff to working to develop an RFP for, city attorney and I spoke about this gently earlier, to work to developing an RFP for such services of a firm that, to go out to the open market.
So I don't think that's really necessary. That is part of the process that we're already going through. Currently,
Okay.
we are designing a facility. We're going to be running through in terms of getting our cost estimates, putting the project out for bid, and a discussion of financing is a natural outgrowth of all of this. I don't think it's necessary to give us additional direction to do this because it's already the path we're on.
Okay.
Okay, my question, Assistant City Manager Mears, and thank you, you did answer it, but I want to go a little further with this. Is it, could we, in your pursuit of financial opportunity, financial assistance in this, in your pursuit, will you engage could you engage financial institutions that provide the sell leaseback program?
We will be bringing back to the City Council a wide variety of options in regards to financing our facilities.
There you go.
We will not limit ourselves to one particular option. We will bring you a menu of options from which the City Council can choose.
Very good. That's what I wanted to hear. Thank you, City Manager Mears.
Certainly.
Thank you, Mr.
Councilman.
Mayor.
Thank
We
you.
all good with that?
Okay. Thank you, Councilman.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Any
City
further
Attorney.
discussion by any other council member? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor, please respond with an aye.
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 Opposed, same favor. Hearing none, motion carries. We will adjourn to closed session.
Yes.
I'd like to say thank you to everyone
Thank you.
for being here, and we really appreciate the participation of our members of the city virtually, and also, again, another thank you to the staff for all you did to help get this done. And we will now go to closed session. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.